Welcome back to the Metabolic Compass podcast, where we recalibrate your biology and rediscover your direction. I'm your host, Brandon Soika, and today's episode is for anyone who feels like they've been doing all the right things, but still feel fried, fragile, or constantly on edge. We've talked about the nurture domain before, how it drifts first, underlies everything from inflammation to gut dysfunction, and how your sense of internal safety drives every downstream adaptation. But in this episode, we're taking things further. This is your practical roadmap to rebuilding nurture from the ground up. The tools, practices, and protocols that actually work, because they're built on biology, not trends. So if you've been feeling like your recovery never truly restores you, or like you're running on empty no matter how much you rest, this episode is your reset. And before we dive in, take 30 seconds right now to hit the metaboliccompass.com/quiz and find out where you're drifting. You'll get a personalized direction and a free reset plan that matches your biology. Most of what's marketed as health isn't helpful when you're in a nurture drift. If your biology is on high alert, if your gut is inflamed, your immune system is overactive, your nervous system is bracing, you don't need more stimulation. You need restoration. This is the mistake many people make. They jump straight into fasting, cold plunges, and detoxes, thinking they're optimizing. But they're pushing an already dysregulated system further into chaos. You wouldn't pour gasoline on a flickering flame to make it brighter. You'd stabilize the firewood, remove the wind, and give the fire what it needs to burn clean. Your biology works the same way. The nurture domain is your internal terrain, the foundational layer of your metabolism that determines whether your body can absorb nutrition, regulate immune responses, process environmental inputs, maintain gut-brain signaling, and know when it's safe to repair, digest, or reproduce. When this terrain is inflamed or fragile, every signal that comes in gets misinterpreted as a threat. Even good things like exercise, fasting, or polyphenols can cause a negative response if the system isn't ready. So what does that mean for healing? It means we need to approach the nurture domain differently than other domains like Energize or Strengthen. Those domains may respond well to challenge-based strategies, workouts, cold exposure, caloric restriction, and metabolic stressors that prompt adaptation. But nurture is about creating the conditions for clarity first. You can't rebuild terrain while it's flooded. We need to calm inflammation, support the terrain, remove threat signals, and reintroduce rhythm. Once you've done that, your biology starts responding again. Signals start being heard instead of ignored, nutrients get absorbed, tissues get repaired, and energy becomes available again, not just for survival, but for actual forward movement. Think of the nurture domain like your body's North Star. Even if you're drifting in another direction right now, whether it's burnout, low libido, weight gain, or insomnia, all healing paths point back to nurture. Safety is the prerequisite for adaptation. And you don't have to feel anxious to be biologically unsafe. Sometimes the signal is brain fog, chronic bloat, subtle fatigue, reactive skin, sleep that doesn't restore you. These are early whispers of nurture drift. In this episode, we're going to break down exactly what to do when you recognize those whispers. The solution isn't to push harder, it's to realign smarter. In the next segment, we're starting where all healing begins, the gut-liver immune axis. If there's one system in the body that determines whether you feel safe or inflamed, reactive, and off-center, it's the gut-liver immune axis. This isn't just about digestion. It's not about food intolerances or bloating, although those are often the first signs. This axis is your frontline communication system. It's how your body decides whether the outside world is safe to bring inside. The gut is where your internal and external environments meet. Every time you eat, breathe, or absorb something through your skin, your gut is involved in deciding what gets let in and what gets flagged as a threat. But it doesn't do that job alone. That information gets relayed to the liver, your command center for detoxification, metabolic processing, and immune triage. Between the two is a communication channel that shapes nearly every other system in your body. It's called the gut-liver axis. And when it's not functioning properly, things start to fall apart fast. Your gut lining is just one cell thick, one. That's all that separates your immune system from everything you've eaten, every compound you've ingested, and every bacterial metabolite produced in your microbiome. If that layer is compromised, what we often call leaky gut or intestinal permeability, then proteins, toxins, or inflammatory molecules can slip into the bloodstream. When that happens, the liver gets overwhelmed. Over time, this damages tolerance and shifts your immune system into surveillance mode. More histamine activity, more immune reactivity, and more systemic inflammation. And here's where it gets tricky. Most people think that their liver is just for filtering toxins, but your liver is also the gatekeeper of gut-derived metabolites like short-chain fatty acids, think butyrate, bile acids, and polyphenols. These molecules fine-tune immune responses, turn genes on and off, and signal to your brain how safe you are. When the gut-liver axis breaks down, you lose the ability to metabolically interpret the world correctly. You become more reactive, fatigued, and inflamed, even if your blood work looks normal. So what do? We rebuild the communication lines. That means restoring three essential components: mucosal integrity, bile signaling, and the immune tolerance. To rebuild mucosal integrity, you need fuel sources that restore the gut lining. Butyrate is foundational here. It's the preferred fuel source for colonocytes, the cells that line your colon. And it's a powerful epigenetic signal that reduces inflammation and promotes barrier repair. Butyrate enhances tight junctions, the proteins that hold your gut lining together. With a strong barrier, you stop the daily micro leaks that feed inflammation. Next, bile acids. Most people associate bile with fat digestion, but bile does far more than emulsify lipids. It also acts as a signaling molecule, communicating with the gut microbiota, regulating intestinal motility, and delivering antimicrobial defense throughout the small intestine. Without proper bile flow, everything slows down. You can't clear toxins, your digestion stagnates, and microbial overgrowth becomes more likely. This is why supporting bile production through gentle stimulation with bitter herbs like artichoke or dandelion, or even taurine and glycine to promote conjugation, can be an important part of rebalancing the axis. Finally, immune tolerance. When the gut barrier is weak and the liver is overwhelmed, your immune system stays reactive. The fix isn't immune suppression, it's immune education. Certain nutrients and compounds can help here, like zinc carnosine, immunoglobulins like immunolin, and polyphenols like quercetin or EGCG. These act like moderators, helping your immune system better recognize what's dangerous and what's not. They also calm mast cells, support regulatory T cells, and reduce the overexpression of cytokines that drive fatigue and inflammation. Together, these strategies restore the internal conversation between the gut and liver. And once that's back online, you start to feel the difference. Less bloating, more energy, more resilience, less reactivity to foods and environments that used to send your system into chaos. Healing starts when the signal clears. Coming up next, nutrition and supplementation tools that rebuild safety. We'll talk specific compounds, formulas, and food-based strategies that do more than mask symptoms. They help your biology finally exhale. Once we've reestablished the importance of the gut-liver immune axis, the next logical question is, what can you do to rebuild that safety? What specific foods, nutrients, and compounds help restore the biological terrain so your body can come out of fight or flight and return to healing? Let's start with one of the most foundational molecules in your biology, butyrate. You've heard us mention it in previous episodes, but it bears repeating. Butyrate is not just a gut fuel, it's a signal. A short-chain fatty acid produced when fiber is fermented in your colon, butyrate regulates the expression of tight junction proteins, inhibits inflammatory cytokines, and even acts on the nervous system to enhance gut-brain signaling. Butyrate has also been shown to improve mitochondrial efficiency, stabilizing blood sugar, and reduce histamine sensitivity. All things that matter when your system is inflamed, reactive, or stuck in survival mode. While some people can increase butyrate naturally through high-fiber diets and resistant starches, many people in a drifted nurture state are too inflamed to tolerate those foods at first. That's where supplementation can make a difference. Biomend is a novel conjugated amino acid salt form of butyrate, designed to enhance bioavailability and palatability. And it doesn't have the offensive taste of older generation butyrates, and it performs significantly better than tributyrin in terms of blood levels of active butyrate. In fact, a 2024 pharmacokinetic study found that Biomen delivered 5 times the systemic butyrate compared to tributyrin, a popular legacy form still used in many products. For practical use, many clients add 1 to 2 grams of Biomend to their morning protein shake along with fiber or a prebiotic blend. This not only boosts colonocyte health, but also helps regulate the immune tone of the gut lining. Which brings us to zinc carnosine. This is a unique chelate of zinc in the dipeptide L-carnosine, originally developed in Japan for gastric ulcer healing. It helps maintain mucosal integrity, protects against oxidative damage, and supports epithelial regeneration. That's valuable if you've been dealing with long-term gut irritation, reflux, or post-infection dysbiosis. Now let's talk about L-glutamine. This amino acid is a major fuel source for enterocytes, the cells that line your small intestine. Supplementing with L-glutamine has been shown to promote tight junction integrity, reduce gut permeability, and support overall intestinal repair. It's particularly helpful for people recovering from antibiotic use, food poisoning, or long-term stress where the barrier function has been compromised. Next up, immunoglobulins. Immunolin is one of the most well-researched immunoglobulin formulas available. It's a serum-derived bovine immunoglobulin, SBI for short, that binds to microbial components and antigens in the gut. By neutralizing inflammatory triggers before they enter circulation, immunolin helps reduce the immune burden on the liver and enhances immune tolerance. Studies on SBI show it can reduce symptoms in IBS, improve stool form and frequency, and modulate inflammatory markers. For those who are highly sensitive to foods or have high reactive gut symptoms that seem to flare with stress, this is one of the most reliable tools available. And finally, we can't overlook polyphenols, plant-based compounds that do far more than act as antioxidants. Compounds like quercetin and EGCG from green tea stabilize mast cells, reduce gut-derived histamine release, and promote tight junction assembly. Quercetin in particular has shown promise in restoring barrier integrity, while EGCG supports microbiome diversity and mucosal healing. When combined with a diverse fiber intake or blended prebiotic containing inulin, acacia fiber, partially hydrolyzed gargum, or resistant starch, these polyphenols create a feedback loop of gut-liver signaling that calms inflammation and restores rhythm. Now let's pause for a minute. You don't need all of these at once. The goal isn't to stack every supplement or over-engineer your gut protocol. The goal is to strategically reduce the biological noise, to calm the system enough that your body feels safe to shift out of survival. Here's a practical starting point if you're rebuilding your nurture domain. A morning shake with 20 to 30 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber, and 1 to 2 grams of Biomed. Zinc carnosine and glutamine powder with lunch or dinner. Immunolin with meals, especially those that trigger symptoms. Quercetin or EGCG with a gut-supportive meal or in a multi-polyphenol blend. You'll know what's working when you stop reacting to everything. When you can tolerate foods again, when your bloating subsides, when you feel steady, not shaky. That's the sign that your biology is no longer inflamed. Coming up in the next segment, we'll shift from nutrients to movement, specifically how to reconnect your body and support detoxification pathways without overexerting a system on edge. Let's talk about movement and physical reconnection in a way that's grounded in research. The goal is to restore circulation, immune surveillance, and nervous system calm without adding stress. These are proven modalities you can use as part of rebuilding the nurture domain. 1. Moderate aerobic movement, walking or low-impact cardio. One of the simplest and best validated tools is walking or light aerobic activity. Studies show that regular moderate exercise improves lymphatic and venous function, enhances immune modulation, and supports gut microbiota diversity. A systematic review found that exercise improves lymphatic health and venous function in people with chronic venous insufficiency and related circulatory issues, especially when combined with mobility and compression. Exercise has also been shown to improve gut barrier function via promoting microbiome health and immune regulation. So gentle aerobic work, walking, cycling, swimming, or light elliptical 20 to 30 minutes most days of the week can move immune cells, support lymph drainage, reduce inflammation, and reestablish safety signals in the body. 2. Breathing practices and diaphragmatic breathing. Your breathing pattern is a significant modulator of nervous system tone and circulation. Diaphragmatic or belly breathing reduces sympathetic overdrive, improves vagal tone, and enhances oxygen delivery, effects that help calm the immune system. 3. Mobility and joint movement. Maintaining joint mobility and fluid motion helps circulation, prevents stagnation, and supports lymphatic return. Studies indicate that mobility improves outcomes. For example, the review on exercise and mobility are known to positively affect venous and lymphatic health shows that walking, mobility, and muscle contraction improves venous reflux, ankle range of motion, and reduces tissue swelling. Even simple mobility work, ankle pumps, or gentle full body movement range of motion exercises can help. 4. Probiotic fermented foods to improve immune modulation. This integrates with movement and circulation by lowering baseline immune burden, improving gut barrier signals, which then reduce background noise for the immune system. A randomized prospective study of high fermented foods versus high fiber diets assessed healthy adults over 10 weeks. The fermented foods group showed increased microbiome diversity and decreased inflammatory markers. Reviews of probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics demonstrate effects on gut barrier integrity, immune response regulation, and reduced gut-derived inflammation. 5. HRV biofeedback and vagal tone practices. Heart rate variability, or HRV, measures the flexibility of your nervous system between rest and stress. Higher variability is associated with better resilience, lower inflammation, and more rapid recovery. There are human trials showing that improving HRV via breathing, stress management, and mindfulness correlates with better immune marker profiles and lower inflammatory cytokines. For example, reduction in autonomic excitability via therapeutic interventions has been well documented. These practices might include paced breathing, short-guided HRV sessions, or app-based HRV biofeedback. So, practical implementation. Here are ways you can integrate these validated modalities without overloading your system. Go for a 20-minute walk each morning or evening at a comfortable pace outside if possible. Practice diaphragmatic breathing from 5 minutes, twice a day, morning and bedtime. Use mobility work like joint rotations, ankle flexes, or full body stretching 3 to 4 times a week. Incorporate fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi, or high-quality probiotics to your meals to support gut barrier health. Do HRV biofeedback or paced breathing sessions for 5 to 10 minutes daily or every other day, especially when stressed or before sleep. Let's talk about the power of sleep, not as a passive state, but as a highly coordinated biological repair program that the body runs on only when it feels safe. Most think of sleep as downtime, but if you're feeling fragile, inflamed, emotionally frayed, then sleep is where the repair blueprint either gets uploaded or corrupted. Sleep isn't just about energy, it's about reorganizing immune memory, repairing damaged tissues, recalibrating hormones, and updating the brain's threat maps. None of this happens if your nervous system is still scanning for danger. If you're struggling with falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up unrestored, this segment is for you. Let's get specific about how to rebuild the rhythm in a way that restores safety, not just sedation. 1. Circadian scaffolding. Set the frame first. You can't rebuild what you don't anchor. Circadian rhythms regulate immune activity, gut barrier timing, liver detox cycles, and mitochondrial metabolism. Your entire nurture domain benefits when your circadian rhythm is consistent. To scaffold this rhythm, focus on 2 anchors: morning light exposure and consistent sleep-wake time. Research shows 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight exposure within 1 hour of waking significantly improves melatonin onset at night, reduces cortisol dysregulation, and improves sleep quality. Light hits specialized retinal ganglion cells that reset your brain's central clock, sending a message that it's safe to start the day. Second, Try to wake up and go to sleep within the same 30-minute window every day, even on the weekends. That one habit can re-stabilize over 100 hormonal and immune genes tied to your biological clock. 2. Caffeine timing in the afternoon crash. This might sting a little, but if you're using caffeine to push through the crash, you're delaying recovery, not speeding it up. Caffeine blocks adenosine, your body's natural sleep pressure molecule. If you consume caffeine too late in the morning, or worse, in the afternoon, it suppresses the signal that tells your brain to downshift. Studies show that even a moderate dose of caffeine 6 hours before bedtime reduces total sleep by over an hour, delays melatonin, and fragments deep sleep stages. The better rhythm? Delay your first caffeine intake by 60 to 90 minutes after waking to let cortisol peak naturally, and avoid caffeine after noon. That timing supports the rise and fall of your alertness wave without disrupting nighttime recalibration. 3. Vagus nerve practices, rebuilding safety through sensory input. The vagus nerve is your body's main downshifting pathway. It connects your brainstem to your gut, heart, lungs, and liver. When stimulated, it tells your system you're safe. You don't need gadgets, just inputs that activate the vagus naturally. Cold exposure, such as splashing your face with cold water or brief cool showers. Gentle HRV training using apps like Breathwork or Elite HRV. These inputs help reduce sympathetic overactivation, fight or flight, and increase parasympathetic tone, rest and digest, which directly supports gut immune regulation and inflammatory resolution. 4. Weighted blankets and sleep pressure support. Weighted blankets, 10 to 12% of your body weight, reduce nighttime movement, improve perceived sleep quality, and increase serotonin production through deep pressure stimulation. This can help calm a hypervigilant system, especially in those struggling with sleep onset. Paired with a good sleep hygiene, cool room, blackout curtains, no screens 90 minutes before bed, a weighted blanket can serve as a literal physical anchor during the rebuild phase. 5. Why sleep reorganizes immune memory. Here's the part most people overlook. Sleep doesn't just rest the immune system, it trains it. During deep sleep, antigen-presenting cells review immune exposures and archive which signals are dangerous and which are safe. This process, called immunological consolidation, helps tolerance improve so you don't overreact to harmful triggers like food, pollen, or gut bacteria. In short, poor sleep increases inflammation and autoimmune reactivity. Good sleep builds immune precision. If you're in nurture drift, your rhythm is scrambled. Your body can't distinguish signal from noise. The strategy isn't to sedate it, it's to re-signal safety through timing, breathing, and recovery cues. Morning light resets your biological clock. Caffeine timing preserves your natural alert sleep wave. Vagal tone practices retrain the nervous system to downshift. Weighted blankets and deep pressure cues restore sensory calm. And sleep re-educates the immune system on what to respond to and what to ignore. In the next segment, we'll move into emotional and environmental safety and how subtle threats signal in your home, your routine, or your relationships may be keeping your biology in defense mode. At this point in your nurture reset, you've begun repairing the gut-liver immune axis, restoring your circadian rhythm, improving sleep, and supporting your nervous system's ability to downshift. But there's one more domain that most people skip, and it's one of the most potent disruptors of metabolic healing. Threat signals that don't come from pathogens or food, but from your environment and your emotional world. Let's break down how emotional environmental stressors activate biological defense pathways and what to do about it. 1. Why your biology reads your environment as a signal. Your body doesn't just scan for pathogens, it scans for predictability, coherence, and safety at every level. So when your home, routines, relationships, or even sensory inputs feel chaotic, loud, disorganized, or emotionally unsafe, your nervous system flags that as a low-level threat. This shows up in your body as low heart rate variability, increased sympathetic tone, mast cell reactivity, histamine intolerance, disrupted sleep architecture, and cortisol flattening or inversion. You can be eating perfectly and still be drifting because your environment is keeping your body in a state of chronic defense. 2. Environmental threats, hidden stressors around you. Let's talk about the big ones, not from fringe wellness circles, but from environmental medicine research. Mold and mycotoxins. Studies show indoor mold exposure triggers neuroimmune inflammation, histamine release, and glutamate excitotoxicity in sensitive individuals. If you feel worse at home or only better when you leave your house for several days, this is worth investigating. Particulate matter. Air pollution doesn't just affect your lungs, it crosses into the bloodstream and raises systemic inflammation. Studies link PM 2.5 exposure to increased gut permeability, altered microbiota composition, and immune dysregulation. Artificial light at night. Blue light exposure after sunset suppresses melatonin, increases cortisol, and fragments REM sleep. Research shows sleeping in rooms with even dim light, 5 to 10 lux, can increase insulin resistance and inflammation markers the next day. EMFs, or electromagnetic fields. While controversial, low-level exposure has been shown in some studies to impact sleep quality, vagal tone, and blood-brain barrier permeability in susceptible populations. The science here is early stage, but the intervention, turning off Wi-Fi or using airplane mode during sleep, is simple and free. 3. Emotional regulation through attunement, not suppression. Nurture drift is not just physical, it's emotional. If your biology is stuck in defense mode, your emotional state will mirror that: reactivity, shutdown, disconnection, or irritability. The fix isn't to suppress or bypass your emotions, it's to attune to them safely. Here are practices that are backed by real neuroscience. Voice journal. Speak your thoughts out loud activates Broca's area, speech production, and helps process limbic content into executive function circuits. Co-regulation. Human connection, especially face-to-face, increases oxytocin, lowers cortisol, and raises vagal tone. Regular conversations with trusted people, even via voice messages, can restore baseline safety. Predictable routines. Your nervous system calms when it can anticipate what's coming. That's why morning and evening rituals, even simple ones like tea before bed, can lower cortisol and support GABA production. Boundary repair. Whether it's social media, work notifications, or emotionally draining relationships, your body needs boundaries to recover. 4. Micro-regulations rituals for environmental safety. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life, start by building tiny rituals that tell your nervous system you're back in control. Here are a few that work. Tidy one space in your home per day. Visual order equals internal calm. Light a candle after sunset to transition your brain towards parasympathetic mode. Open windows for 10 minutes daily. Cross-ventilation equals lower indoor toxin load. Listen to instrumental music with a slow tempo, 60 to 70 beats per minute, in the evening. Use warm light bulbs in the evening to cue melatonin production. The environment is a messenger, not a blame game. The goal isn't to become hypervigilant or obsessive. It's to acknowledge that your environment, emotional and physical, is not neutral. It's a constant messenger to your biology. When that message is predictable, supportive, and safe, your system starts shifting out of defense. Inflammation calms, the gut-liver axis becomes more resilient, sleep deepens, tolerance increases, and you stop feeling like you're surviving your own life and start actually rebuilding it. In our final segment, we'll bring it all together with the 2-week Nurture Reset Protocol, a simple, practical rhythm you can start today. By now you understand what the nurture domain really represents. It's not just about inflammation or immune health. It's the terrain your entire biology stands in. When that terrain is unstable, when your gut-liver immune axis is misfiring, when your sleep and emotional regulation have unraveled, when your body isn't sure if it's safe or under attack, no high-performance plan will stick. Let's stop trying to fix everything at once. Let's rebuild from the ground up with a 2-week reset designed specifically for this phase of healing. Here's how it works. The core philosophy: less is more. This reset isn't about doing more. It's about choosing the right minimum effective dose in 5 key categories: nutrients, movement, rest, emotional regulation, and environmental safety. You'll commit to one action in each category per day. Done consistently, these actions signal to your biology we're rebuilding safety. You can downshift. This isn't a detox. It's terrain restoration. And the results speak for themselves. Calmer mornings, better digestion, fewer histamine flare-ups, deeper sleep, and emotional re-regulation. So let's walk through each category. First, daily nutrient support. Pick one of the following to take daily, depending on your needs and tolerance. Butyrate, specifically Biomend, 1 to 2 grams daily to support colonocyte regeneration and immune tolerance. Immunoglobulins, ideally Immunolin, 1 to 2 grams daily to bind gut antigens and reduce immune reactivity. L-glutamine, 5 grams daily to fuel intestinal lining repair. Zinc carnosine, 75 milligrams twice daily for mucosal support. Polyphenols like EGCG 300 milligrams, quercetin 500 milligrams, or curcumin 500 milligrams as tolerated. These aren't chosen at random. Each supports a different aspect of mucosal immunity, gut barrier function, or liver detox capacity. 2. Gentle movement and lymphatic flow. Choose one movement ritual per day. 20-minute walk outside, bonus if in nature, 5 to 10 minutes of fascia opening stretches, rebounding or light bounces for 2 to 3 minutes, restorative yoga, especially twisting poses for gut-liver massage. The goal isn't fitness, it's fluidity. You're moving lymph, connecting breath to body, and rebuilding proprioceptive safety. 3. Rest and circadian anchoring. Pick a circadian alignment ritual to anchor your nervous system. 10 to 15 minutes of direct morning light exposure within 30 minutes of waking. Avoid caffeine until 90 minutes after waking. Power down devices 1 hour before bed. Use nasal breathing and humming before sleep to activate vagus nervous tone. This anchors your sleep-wake cycles and helps your immune system recalibrate its memory overnight. 4. Emotional regulation. Choose one micro-regulation tool per day. Voice journaling for 5 minutes, out loud or recorded. 10 minutes of co-regulation, trusted conversation, not venting. Write one small win or gratitude from the past 24 hours. Or listen to calming instrumental music, approximately 60 beats per minute. Your nervous system doesn't need emotional breakthroughs. It needs predictability, coherence, and connection. 5. Environmental safety. Your body listens to your surroundings. Each day, do one of the following. Tidy one physical space, could be your desk, kitchen, car. Open windows for fresh air circulation. Switch to warm lighting after sunset. Turn Wi-Fi to airplane mode. Create a wind-down ritual, tea, shower, candles. Micro-order in your environment creates macro safety in your physiology. The full week flow. Each day, choose one action from each category. No overwhelm, no perfection. At the end of 2 weeks, you'll have repatterned your circadian rhythm, stabilized gut-liver signaling, downshifted your nervous system, reduced histamine, cortisol, and immune noise, and rebuilt the foundation for long-term health, not just symptom suppression. And best of all, you'll feel it. Most people don't realize how loud their biology has become until it quiets. And here's your next step. If you haven't taken the Drift Quiz, now's the time. It'll show you which of the 4 domains, nurture, energize, strengthen, or withdraw, is most out of sync in your biology. Just go to the metabolic-compass.com/quiz to get started. In the next episode, we're moving into the Energize domain and showing you how to reset your mitochondria without making your fatigue worse. It's called the Energize Reset, how to restore fuel, flexibility, and focus. We'll see you there. You've been listening to the Metabolic Compass podcast, where we bridge cutting-edge science with real-life application to help you reclaim your health one directional shift at a time. To learn more, visit us at www.themetaboliccompass.com or follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Metabolic Compass. And if you haven't already, leave a review. It helps others find their way back to alignment too. Recalibrate your biology, rediscover your direction.